Hey, this is Daniel from the blue corner.
And John from the red corner.
And today, me and John are going to bring you our top 50 games of all time.
Of all time.
That's right. These are non-debatable. These are actually the 50 greatest games.
At least my list is.
No, my list is.
No.
Okay, maybe it's a little debatable, but that's fine. Each of these are to our own likings. We're going to have unique and interesting takes, I am sure. We're going to have games on here that you've never heard of.
I'm sure on your list there will be many games that people haven't heard of.
No, we're not those kind of gamers. You're probably going to recognize all of these right off the bat, except for maybe my very first one.
That's great.
Which is great because I'm really excited to talk about this very first one, and because it doesn't get enough love, so I'm going to start off.
Oh, I thought you meant by number one.
No, I meant number 50.
I gotcha.
No, number one, you've all heard of that one. I guarantee.
If you've watched any show of ours, you've probably heard of it.
Yep. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into our list at number 50.
If you watch the show at all, you know I've many times said I'm terrible at making lists.
Yes.
And Daniel wanted to do a top 100 with me, and I said I cannot fathom ranking 100 games. So my number 50 is just a game that I knew needed to be on a list of mine somewhere. Okay.
So you don't even like this
because
game.
I love this game.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a game that I think I haven't played it since 2017.
Okay.
And that's because I looked up my records here recently and just happened to stumble across that. But number 50 is Strat-o-Matic Baseball, the classic from the 60s. That's a card and dice game and the best baseball simulator ever made. You can, with people that know what they're doing, you can play a game in 15 minutes or less if it's not a big scoring affair. You're not putting a lot of pitchers in. If you got a couple pitchers going the distance, 15 minutes easy.
Wow.
And you can keep realistic stats with it. And I think they have an app now where don't even have to, we keep track on paper and pencil and all this.
The way it should be.
Exactly. We get real scorebooks. We keep it so it looks like you're doing a box score. Now, what have we always said? The crossover between gaming and sports is a really niche group, but for our group it works, and it was amazing. We had a league going over 10 years with people in it, where you're drafting new players.
He says
old
we.
players.
He doesn't mean us.
Not Daniel.
Other people.
Not Daniel.
Yeah.
Other people that I had a league with. But Strat-o-Matic, I can't, just for the pure enjoyment that I've gotten out of it in my lifetime, it has to be on my list, so I put it at number 50, Strat-o-Matic Baseball.
Okay. So is that always going to be the top of your list? Like if we did a top 20, that's going to be number 20?
It has to be on the list.
Okay.
Yes.
So this one is always the top of any list he does.
Or at least on it. It's going to be on it somewhere, yes.
All right, fair.
Okay.
All right. Is anything like Blood Bowl?
It is nothing like Blood Bowl. Oh. It's like a real sport.
We
played a game of it once.
Yeah, it was fun. It's just dice chucking and everything. I'm sure it gets better.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Well, let's talk about my number 50. I said that it's probably a game that you have not heard of, which less likely to have heard of John's than of mine.
I don't know.
So my number 50 is a game from Upper Deck called Dungeon Draft. This game is a hidden gem, in my opinion. The only reason it's at 50 is because it didn't get enough love, so there's not enough expansions out there. There's no expansions even. So it does kind of maybe play itself out after several plays. I think you can do a lot of plays without it feeling too old. But essentially what you're doing is you are drafting cards that are in a dungeon, and then you're taking turns playing these cards, and at the end you're going to kind of score, kind of like a Fantasy Realms or Marvel Remix, that type of thing. Yeah. So at the end, but it's not that restrictive. You don't only have like 9 cards.
Yeah, but you're trying to build up your.
Yeah, exactly. But what's really cool about it is it has like what I like about Marvel Legendary as well is there's always like these. If you've played this previously, then this will be better. So there's some combos that way. And it's just, and in every round you kind of see who did the most of each color, so you're always looking at other people to see which colors they picked, and you're buying cards or you're trashing cards. So sometimes I'm going to trash the card that John wanted. You know, everything I'm saying here may seem like this typical drafting or deck building game, and it kind of is, but it does it in such a neat and clean package that I have high praise for it. And every time I get a chance to show it to a new person, I do, and everybody who has ever played it has said that was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
They'd say of all the games I've played, that was one of them.
That was one of them.
Okay.
And the way I found this game too is I went to a con, and I went to the Upper Deck booth, and I couldn't play in Marvel Legendary. So they're like, "Hey, you want to play in this tournament?" I was like, "Sure." Never played before. They taught me how to do it, and I won it.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
And then I got a free game, and I was like, "Oh, that's a really good
That's
game."
how they get you.
So,
that's how they get you.
So that's my number 50.
Okay.
Dungeon Draft.
Now it's time for number 49. How about that? Number 49.
That's usually
we're
what comes
already up
after
to 49.
Already.
For me, 49. Now, once again, these ones down towards the bottom maybe deserve to be further down, but they're games that have to be on the list.
So this is a list of 50 games you've played.
50 games I've played.
Okay.
But number 49, because I've had so much fun with this, and it's a party family kind of game, is Wits and Wagers. I don't know if you've played Wits. Yeah. Oh, Wits and Wagers. It's if you're going to play a party game, Wits and Wagers is a blast. It's one of the, if you haven't played it, what you're doing is there will be a question, and it's a trivia game.
Yeah.
And the answer is always a number, but it's usually not a number anyone at the table is going to be 100% sure of.
Like how many?
Unless it's me.
Okay.
And so like I think one of the times it was like, when did the album Thriller come out? What year?
Okay.
And so I said, I said 1983. And so everybody's going to have years out there, and you can bet on which one you think is right. So you don't even have to have the right one. You can put all your money on the one that's right, and you can win. So it's a gambling game.
It's a trivia game where you don't actually have to know.
You don't have to know any of it.
Yeah.
But you just might be like,
you can be an idiot.
Daniel knows more about that probably than anybody here. I'm going to bet on his. And so it's basically that. Read the table. And so, and then at the very end, you have this chance to go all in and try to really double your score and maybe win, even if you're not doing well. So, so it's engaging in that way too. You're never really out. So, Wits and Wagers, that's a great game, and it's my number 49. So, I think it's the only party game I have on this list.
Ooh, I have 2 party games.
Oh,
Jesus.
I know one of them.
Well, 1.5. Oh, maybe 2 because I have
one
2.
of them is just not
I have
that
2
much
halves.
fun.
Well, no, 2 of them are party games, but they only go up to 6 players. But I digress.
That's good. What's your number 49, though?
Number 49 is not neither of those party games that I was mentioning. Any 3 of those. Any 3 of those 2 games I was talking about.
Those 2.5 games.
My number 49 is War Chest. Yes, this game is an incredible game. Don't shake your head. Why are you shaking your head? You don't think people have heard of it? This is one people have heard of it. It's from the. Okay, good, because this one is like. Have you ever played Duke? There's an old game called Duke. Well,
heard of it
regardless, too, yeah. The idea is that you are, at the beginning of the game, you are given 4 different units. These units all do move and attack in very specific ways. But you're very limited to the number of units you get to have, and they're like chips or whatever, which is kind of fun to pull them out of a bag. And if you want to play a unit on the board, you have to place the chip on the board. If you want to activate the unit, you have to pull the chip out of the bag. So, John, how do you pull out a chip in a bag if the chip is on the board?
There must be multiples.
There are multiples, and they're limited. So you might have like 5 of one troop, and I'm going to play 1 down on the table. Maybe I put a bolster it, and I put down 2. But now that I only have 3 left.
Now there's less likely that it'll come and get pulled out of the bag.
Exactly.
Were you aware of that?
The better, I am aware of that. Thank you. Yeah. So the better your units are, the less likely they are to activate.
Makes sense.
But this is kind of a little bit of it's abstract-y, kind of like chess. But your goal is to like control these 4 areas, and if you control 4 of them, you win. There's like 6 total on there, so 2 of them are easy to control, and you're contesting the other ones. Gotcha. But this is a really good. It's also the designer. I forgot his name off the top of it, but he did like Undaunted.
Oh, okay.
And if you've played Undaunted, it's a very similar.
That'd be a good one to have on your list.
As Ward, it would be. It's not though, because I've only played it once. It's on my shelf though.
It'd be a good one right here at 49. That'd be a good spot for it.
All right, but that 49 was War Chest.
Okay.
John wants me to start number 48, so I will. My 48 is a game in the Dixit universe.
Oh, my lord.
And this is one of my half-party games. This game is called Stella. So if you ever played Dixit, usually it's kind of like an apples to apples type of game, but with pictures. You look at a picture and you go, I think this one reminds me of Lord of the Rings. You put it down, everybody else puts one down, and you're trying to convince everybody on the board that yours was actually the Lord of the Rings, but then you want at least one person to pick mine, so forth. Stella takes that engine and they refine it in a very unique way. So now there's a grid of cards. So it's no more of me picking what card I want to play, but the cards are all out there. So I might see a 4x3 grid. So I have 12 cards out there, and then we flip a word and it might say medieval. Now I have to look at these very abstract pictured cards, and I have to say which one of these do I think invokes medieval. I'm going to put it on a card in the grid order. I'm going to say, okay, I think this one in the corner, this one in the middle, that one in the... And I pick 5. Well, then John, he's also picking at the same time. Then we reveal and we say, how many did you pick? I say 5. John says 3. What? So obvious. So now our goal is I'm going to call out which one I think is medieval. I need to match with John, but I have 5. He has 3. So obviously I picked 2 that he could not have picked. So you're going like this. And then if you ever get one wrong, you can't score any more points. So if I go, I think it's this one with the
battle axe
cuckoo clock.
Oh, okay.
And that was a really bad pick. It doesn't even matter if the other three, me and John had matched.
If you were wrong, then
I get no more points. So I'm going to go with the one with the battle axe. He's like, yes, the battle axe one was the one I went. And we're like, okay, good. And then what's really cool about it is you get like 2 points for every one you get right. But if you match with somebody else, you get 3 points. No, that's not quite what it is. But regardless, the points are streamlined and it actually matter.
Sounds like board game Karen scoring.
Yeah, probably it is. But anyways, Stella, I highly recommend it. Even if you at one point said, I used to like Dixit, but I don't anymore, try out Stella. And if they say Dixit Universe because they literally use Dixit cards.
Oh, so it's like some of the same images and stuff?
Not the same images. You can literally take your Dixit cards and put it into a Stella game. The backs all read Dixit.
Oh, okay.
So it's an expansion to Dixit, also an expansion to Stella. So it's really cool. So that was my number.
That is the coolest thing about it you've said so far.
That's whatever. That's a great game.
What are we up to? 48?
48.
48 for me is a game that I won a trophy at Gen Con for.
Biased.
And so I'm a little biased. And that's Kingdomino because it's one of those games that is going to be an evergreen on my shelf that you can always pull out. And unfortunately, it only plays 4 players. But it's one of those games that's so simple and easy to tell people, but it's also so tactical and strategic that you can be sloughing off till later in the rounds. You're like, oh, well, I'll let them take all these ones. Later on in the rounds, I'm going to get the ones I really want. And you
never do.
Because, well, sometimes you don't. But sometimes you let the game come to you. Sometimes you take the game by the horns. If you never played Kingdomino, it's what you're building your little kingdom with tiles, and you have to match one side of the tile, which other ones that you're going to
like dominoes.
Like dominoes. Kingdom and dominoes.
There you go.
And then they all have different ways of scoring, and so you're trying to set things up where you can score really well. And very easy rule set and very forgiving as far as if you screw up, you just get less points. You still finish the game, and you're still going to score. So Kingdomino, that's my number 48.
Yeah, good game, especially if you like playing with children.
There you go. Number 47 might surprise you on my list. This game,
That's going to be the title of this. Number 47 will surprise you.
Surprise you. I got this at the very first tabletop day that I went to.
Okay.
And I won it. Had no idea what it was. Actually,
trash day.
I thought it was Sid Meier's Civilization.
Okay.
It's not. It's CVlization. This is how little I knew about games at the time. It's even sitting there. I was like, oh, I've heard of that game. Civilization. I've heard of that game. But there's a game came out called CV, which, it's English.
It's like
it's English for it's basically your history.
Your resume.
Your history.
That's what they call resumes.
Yeah, but it's also like your history. Because in this game, it's
your resume is your history.
You're going through your life. Well, you don't put where you were born usually on your resume. I guess you could.
I do.
I guess you could. Or, what bike you had. But anyway, I digress. A sequel to it was called, I don't know how you said it, CVlizations or CVlizations. But it's not Sid Meier's Civilization.
No.
But it's an amazing game, and it's you want to play it at the full player count of 5.
Okay.
Don't play it under 5.
Okay. I won't.
And it's one of those. It's like an action selection game. You have a hand of 7 cards. You're only going to play 6 of them.
Okay.
And every one of you're trying to get technology for your civilization. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
And so you do that by getting resources. You get resources by playing cards. And the cards all work in different ways. And so everybody just puts a card down. And everybody reveals at the same time. And then if you've played the same card as someone else, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes you want to be the only person to play your type of card, depending on what card it is. Sometimes you want to be you and one other person. Usually, if 3 or more of you do it, you're hosed and you get like 1 cheese wheel or something, But if you're like the only person, you're going to get 2 cheese and this, that, and the other. And so you're trying to kind of play the table. Who's the one? Oh, 3 of them played those already. Sweet. So I might be the only one to play this.
Okay.
And you play all but 1. You never play that last card, and then you just do that 3 times. You're getting things. You're building things that you buy will give you more points, and they'll also give you ongoing benefits. As technology would. So, really cool game. It's it plays quick and it's fun to play with.
We have to play that one. It used to be. It was on my shelf of shame for a long time, and then I gave it away to somebody at FBC GameCon.
Yeah.
That's you.
Oh, is that what it was?
Probably.
Could have been.
I do that sometimes.
Could have been.
So,
man, but that's cool. You would have had it a long time ago.
I did have it a long time ago.
We got to play it then. I'll bring it to a game night.
Sounds good. All right. So my number 47 is it's a game.
That's good.
It's a game. No, let me back up. Okay. My 47 is The Estates. The Estates is from Capstone Games, and usually when Capstone makes really heavy games, I really like them. But when they make, I know I used to say Capstone I trust, but they've unfortunately failed me too many times, so I can't say that anymore. But and mostly because of their lighter games. But fortunately, the Estates is one of their lighter games that is awesome. I love it. It's like you're trying to build up your collectively. You're trying to build up this community, and you have these artificial barriers to how far it can go, and then but you can bid on like how that if that barrier is going to get pushed back or not, so that maybe the game can extend as you're placing the buildings. And I might place my blue. I might place a 3 at the bottom. Well, John can come along and put a 6 on top of that. Now he controls it.
Now it's mine.
And then somebody can come over and put like a 10 on it. I forget what number it goes up to. But
yeah,
we'll
me
10.
Yeah,
but you're doing this, and you're picking these blocks not because he's red and I'm blue. It's because you have a bank of little blocks over off to the side, and you're picking those. And at one point, you can actually invest in that color. So while I'm not like he can place a blue, but I'm invested in blue, so blues are a good thing for me. But he gets an immediate bonus for playing things. Also, it's a closed economy, so when you start off the game with a certain amount of money, and there'll be no more money invested into the system. And as you play, one of the mechanics is you can tuck money, which gives you victory points. But if you are tucking money, that means you're removing more and more money from the economy. So this is a game that also, if you've invested in a row that's not complete, you will get negative points. So this is a game that literally, I think Ryan Evans, our friend, won with 0 points because everyone else had negative. Everyone else had negative, and that's the kind of game it is. It's really manipulating that economy, and you can do really fun things with it. Because what it is if you ended up with no like stock in a color, you can't score any points.
Yeah.
So your only goal at this point is to make all of the other stocks collapse. So you're like, there you go, you have no points. And you can tuck the money, so technically you have some points, but that's ultimately what you're trying to do. And that is the only way you can win if you go that route. So it's a very light game, plays really quick, and it's a lot of fun.
I mean, it's light in that the rule set is easy, but there's a lot to think about.
Sure, there's a lot to think about, but yeah, it's literally like pick a block, place the block. That's the rule. It's just how you want to do it and how you're going to leverage it.
It's one of those games that I enjoy that I'm really bad at.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever won. I will start out really well in that game, and then at the end I'm like, I'm in shambles.
Oh, because people can just like manipulate you, and they
will just hose you over.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're just like, look at this, I'm winning. And someone's like, well, I'm going to bid on the thing that lets me move this row back and this row forward, and I just ended the game. And you're like, I just went from 100 points to negative 10.
I'm not doing so well all of a sudden. Yes.
So
I approve of that one.
Hey, first one he likes.
There we
go. So I like the top like 50 to 40 because I feel like these are the games that you don't talk about very often, but you love. Part of it is that these are older games, maybe, and this maybe I said maybe. But you know, this one falls into that category. Okay. For my 46, it's Flow of History. This is a game, I think from TMG, maybe? It's the one that just went out of business, I believe. So I don't know how hard this will be to find, but it's a condensed civilization game where you are evolving from a primitive culture all the way up to democracy or communism, which the communism card is really fun because you just throw all the money in the middle and then everybody gets it. So it's the great equalizer card. But it's but you are what makes this game really unique though is that there's this river of cards out here. And sometimes in a lot of games like this you would expect, hey, I want the communist card, so I'm going to buy the communist card. No. You don't just get to buy cards. You have to claim the card and say, I'm going to buy it for 2. Then John's turn, he goes, you know what? If I want that, I can give Daniel 2 money and I can buy it. But now if it gets back to me, I can choose to spend my 2 money and then get the card back. So you're actually, now if John snipes me, then he gets, that's what it's called. It's when he takes it from me. It's called a snipe. Then you get, you actually get to get more money that way. So you're always like balancing, I want somebody to take this thing, but I don't want them to get a really good thing. So sometimes you're like, I want John to give me money, so I know he needs this, so I'm going to do it 3. Well, then later on in the game, it's like, oh no, John really needs this. I'm going to put like 10 on there. So he can buy it from me, but he's giving me all of his money. It just makes you think in a very different way to the point where I've played with some people who disliked it because of that. Because they're just like, I never get the card that I want. And I'm like, it's because you keep telling us which card you want.
Yeah.
The goal is to set somebody up so that they buy it so that later on you can have enough to like just snatch it up. Because there's a way to snatch one up too. Or then you got to wait 1 turn. Anyways, flow of history. Really great. Check it out if you can still find it.
That's what I like about that game too, is you can, like you're saying, well, there's that card that I actually absolutely want. But you know what? If I get a really good card that I wasn't looking for, you can change your tactics.
Yes.
And you can be like, all right, I'm going this way now. I'm going this direction. Heck with that. I was going all military. I'm not doing it anymore because you guys didn't let me have that card. I'm doing this now. So you can do that in that game. That's so, you can't. I've had it where I just completely collapsed. Then it came back. I'm like, yes, now I'm doing well. So I approve. Once again,
yay! See, John's actually played my games.
You might not approve of mine.
Uh-oh.
Number 46 for me.
Part 2.
It's another one that has to be on a list. And I think I mentioned this when we talked about it on a show one time. And that is, some people call it Settlers. Some people call it Settlers of Catan. Some people just call it Catan. I know someone that calls it Catan. So there's always Catan. But that's what it is. Settlers of Catan. If you're not aware of it, that's the game.
Okay.
Breaking the ice here. So if you're not familiar with Settlers of Catan, it's where you're playing
Catan.
So you're playing on a modular board. You're trying to get resources. You're trying to get points, and it's, if you haven't heard of it, you're probably not watching our channel. But Catan was the first game that got me into modern gaming, and we used to just play Catan, and people still do that now. I think you get together, you play like 3 to 5 games of Catan in a night, and you keep track of who wins, and you have fun with it. And some people don't. Well, the group I learned it from had all these odd house rules, and they played super friendly. None of them do that anymore after I started playing, because I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just build here? Well, then they couldn't build there. I know. Why?
Isn't that the point?
Once again, why wouldn't I just build here? And so, that's the thing with that Catan. You can play it mean. You have to play it mean, pretty much.
Have to.
And
or else it's not a game.
Or else it's not a game. If you're not being mean.
That's
so
right.
now they all just kind of be mean to me, and they let each other go.
That's fair.
But when you are dealing with,
I approve of this strategy.
When you are dealing with a regional champion,
that's right.
Then you gotta
wait. You're a regional champion of this.
I am.
Kingdomino.
How about that?
Ah, geez. Everything on his list is something he has a trophy for. You should see his board game trophy case. It's packed
with 50 games.
With 50 games.
All right. So that's my number 46.
Okay.
Going into the multiverse.
All right, number 45 is a game that I wondered if I was going to put on this list. I haven't talked about how I did this list yet, so I'm going to do that right here. I used Pub Meeple. Did you use Pub Meeple?
Use what now?
Oh, you don't even know about Pub Meeple. Okay.
I don't use Pub Meeple.
Pub Meeple ranks the games. You put them all in there and you go, okay, this one I ranks. After I was all done, the ranks were all off because I didn't do tons of them. I just did a small number, and it made some really weird things. So I went through and I was like, I don't know, this one feels like it should be here. This one feels like be here. Well, 45 fell in that category, and that is Blood Rage. Should it be on my top 50? I suppose. Yeah, I think so. I do like it. It's one of those games where every time I play it, I'm like, man, I really like that game. But it takes, I don't think to bring it out all the time. But it is, you guys know me, if you've been watching the show, I don't play my games, and it's a thing. It's a reoccurring thing. But Blood Rage, I get it played at least once a year, which is for me, that means that's good. So that should be on a top 50 list. So it is on the top 50 list. And the reason I'm even hawing about should it be on there or not is I do have one flaw with it, and that is how you draft the cards. So with this game is like area control, and you're going to be building up your civilization of Vikings that are unique, your clan of Vikings, and it's unique from John's clan, and you do that by drafting cards. I'm going to pick a card, pass it to John, and then we keep going and going and going, and all of a sudden I have now cards that I can play, and I can either choose to play the cards using my rage to do that, or I can use my rage to move my guys around or to attack and do other things like that. Well, the draft is killer because I don't play this game quite enough, and if you play it with brand new people, they will always draft wrong. And in this game, you can draft wrong because you guys have all heard of the Loki strategy. It's a very obvious one, and it means if one of your guys dies, a skirmish like game, so people die all the time, you get victory points.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is people go, I don't want my character to die. Here, person who's played this game before, here's a Loki card, and they're like, yes, because that means everyone's gonna go after me. I'm going to score points. If you don't go after me, I'm going to score points. Whoa. And then everyone goes, wow, that guy who did all the Loki cards won by 100 points. This game's unbalanced. It's like, no, it is. It's just got to know enough to not draft that way and to know how you draft. So that's why I was hawing about it. But it's a really good game. It's a lot of fun. I've never had actually a bad time playing it, other than at least there's always one person at the table who has sour grapes and is like, why did I only get 30 and you guys all have 300? It's like, because you sucked at drafting. That's why. Sorry.
Get better, as Chris would say.
Get good. Get good. But that's my 45, Blood Rage.
All right, Daniel tried to skip my number 45, but I saw through his plans. And here's my number 45. It is Survive, Escape from Atlantis. Survive is a great family game. Why is it on my list? Because a lot of the ones on my list are because of experiences. I've had so many good experiences with Survive, going back to the original version back in the 80s, and also including the new 30th anniversary edition that I have now, which is the same game with better components. But Survive is a very fun game where you're trying to escape an island that's collapsing underneath you and get to the safety zones on the outside, and then trying to prevent others from doing the same by eating them with sharks or sinking them with whales. Great blast. I've had too much fun with it not to be on my list, and I'm not going to let Daniel keep it from being on my list. So my number 45 is Survive.
All right, it's time to do number 44. And I said it that way because my number 44 is a game about time.
Ah.
It is Timeline Challenges.
Shalom.
This is my other half a party game.
Okay, I think I know this game.
Yeah, so Timeline was a game that came out. When it came out, it was very basic. Mm-hmm. You had a date. Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1964, I think it is.
Something like that.
So you put that down, and then you draw a card that says cell phones were invented.
I think that was after 1964.
Exactly. So you go after or before. And as you're doing this, you're building a timeline to the point where it's really easy at the beginning. But then later on, it gets hard because then it says invented the notebook. And you're like, well, that's older, I guess, I'm pretty sure. Like, when did actually somebody bind something together? Yeah. And then they're like, invented the light bulb. And you're like, oh, crap, did that? Which one actually came first? Because paper was before electricity, but did they call it a night book? So you're going like that. So as things go on, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder. Yeah. Well, Timeline Challenges takes this to the next level because they kind of board game-ify it. Okay. And if you essentially you're going around kind of like Trivia Pursuit, you're going around on a board, and if you land on a color, you do the color challenge. Okay. The one different about this is everybody moves forward and everybody participates in the challenge. It's just whoever is the furthest ahead, that triggers which challenge you're going to do. But you'll do things like where you actually have to guess the date. So what year did what was the light bulb invented? You actually use your dial and you got to put 1874. Well, if the actual answer was 1783, you'd get 2 points because you got the one right and 18 and 19, one.
Oh, seriously?
And so that's one of them. Okay. Another one is you have 4 events, put them in order. So it takes this timeline challenge. It kind of keeps the heart of it, but it gives it more. It's just more dynamic because you're doing more things, and then you cross the threshold at some point, and you go into a duel, and then you play normal timeline with just one person, and you're just like, going back and forth. And when that person wins, they get to move up 2 spots. And
I gotcha. Okay.
So there's just fun little things like that.
They added a lot to regular timeline.
Yeah, a lot. If you like timeline, you have to get timeline challenge.
What I don't like about it, I think, because I think I've seen the cards, is that they don't have all the history on each card.
No, there's no history at all.
It's just a year.
Yeah. And a picture. Sometimes that helps you with figuring out what year it is.
I mean, you had a whole history lesson on the original one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Original timeline. Yeah. It'd tell you all about what happened with the invention of whatever, and yeah.
Okay, maybe I don't have the original thing because I thought
maybe you don't. No, they remade it. They remade it several times with those cheap cards.
Gotcha. So, I see. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Timeline challenge. It's a hit.
What are we up to? 44?
44.
My number 44 is a game that I don't own, which I think we've already had that at least once, but because I tried to be a mix of not just games that I own. You're always going to like most of the games you own. Yeah. There's games out there that I've played that I don't own. Sure. This is one of those, and it's called Last Will. I think we've talked about it on the show a little bit before, really, and it's one of those games that's just fun. Yes. I mean, it's your object of the game is like the movie Brewster's Millions
that no one's ever heard of.
I know. Nobody's heard of it except people. But you've inherited money. You got to try to blow it all so you can get more money. And so you're trying to buy houses and depreciate them and have parties in them and tear them up. And you're trying to blow money on different things. And which is a fun concept.
You get to take
just in and of itself is a fun concept.
You get to take your horse to dinner. That's pretty cool.
Why not?
Yeah,
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
So, and you're doing this with a worker placement type mechanism. And so it's just... the theme comes through. Yeah. It's a blast. It's fun, and it has basically that's it. It's just fun play. Even if you don't win, it's a fun game to play. Yeah. So,
and it has the worker placement is fun too because at the start of your turn, you pick like which order you're going to go in. Like, am I going to go first or last? And if you go last, you actually get more worker placement actions. If you go first, you get less, but you get like another bonus or whatever. Yeah. So even that's really cool. I like games that reward you for turn order.
Yes. So very unique game. So it's got its niche fan base, I think. There's a lot of people out there that like Last Will, but Last Will, my number 44.
All right.
Number 43 is going to start with me, and this is the only, I believe, because I haven't gone through my whole list again since I made it like 3 months ago. I think it's the only racing game on my list.
Better be Heat.
And it's not Heat.
Oh my!
Heat is not in my top 50. I'll tell you that right now. There's spoiler. Heat not in the top 50.
You're lame.
Go watch our episode about Heat and you'll see why. But the best game, it's another one I don't know. But this is probably the only racing game I've enjoyed every play of, and that is Flamme Rouge.
Okay.
One thing it's fun to say. Say it, say it with me. Flamme Rouge.
Flamme Rouge.
How fun is that? And the cool thing about it, you got two guys in the race. You got two bicyclists in the race, and you can kind of use them strategically throughout the thing to, block people and do this and get up this hill and all that thing. And it's a fun concept. The whole thing is fun. I love it. I love the going up the hills, down the hills, the different strategy you have for all of them. And for some reason, this one clicks. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I love the action of playing the cards out there and not getting exhausted and all those things. And I don't know. To me, it's what a racing game should be. It's a blast. And so Flamme Rouge, that's my number 43.
I think it's a good racing game, and it's not one of my favorites, but I do think it is good. But this is your only racing game?
I believe so. I'm not a big fan of racing games.
No Raha the Ganges?
Well, we'll see.
That's a joke for Andy.
I don't consider
that's
that
a joke for Andy.
That's a racing game like Ark Nova is a racing game.
Yes, well, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My number 43 is, again, one of these older games. Again, these top 10 here, the top 50, the 40 seem to all be bottom 10.
Bottom 10.
Or all the old ones. Not all of them. Next one's actually pretty new. All right. But this one is called Revolution from Steve Jackson Games, the guy who did Munchkin.
Yep.
And I love this game because
Or grew the game.
Yes. That's right. But this game has the mechanic that I love in board games, and that is trying to get inside the head of your opponent. I know he's going to do this, I'm going to do this, but he knows I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do this. But you know that I'm going to do that, and I know that you know. So then this game has that in fold. So you have you're trying to control, you're trying to spur on a revolution. So there's all these buildings on the board, and you want to put your influences in those buildings so they side with you during the revolution. So you do that by having this hidden board where you are going to be putting money or blackmail or force on there, and you get to take their action, which then lets you put influence out on the board. But you hide it because if John also wants to take the artisan action, and he gave it 2 money and I gave it 3 money, well, I get the artisan action and John doesn't. But there's a little rock, paper, scissors thing going on here, except it doesn't go all the way around, it just goes forward. And that is, John goes, I didn't play 2 money. I played a blackmail, which is better than any amount of money.
Yes.
And then Andy says, well, I played force, which is better than anything else. But then some of the characters say you can't play force. Some say you can't play
church
blackmail.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it lets you put cubes on the board, but it also is giving you extra currency as well. So you might get to put a cube in the church, but now you also get a blackmail token for the next round.
There you go.
This is a really clever game. There was some talk about re-theming it in the Pathfinder. We remember that? It was when we first started.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, when we first started around the board, they announced they were going to release this game in the Pathfinder world, and we were like, we got to get that to review it because it's a inside joke about how we like this game.
Yes.
And but it never came through. But I think one day it will, and if it is, and if it comes available again, you have to get it. It's a joy, it's a blast. It also leads to a lot of arguments and laughing and going, oh, I can't believe you did that. Oh,
I remember a particular frustrating game I had of it. I think Daniel was playing in this game, where finally towards the end of the game, I'm like, I'm just dropping all my stuff randomly on the board. I'm not even, because no matter what I do, I'm outbid everywhere. So I'm just drop. Andy is going crazy. You can't do that. You're just doing.
I would go crazy too. Like,
stop me. That's what I'm doing. I think I started doing better after that.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, yeah, because, okay. I was probably the one yelling at you.
You might have both been yelling. I wasn't going to win anyway. It was like I was hosed so badly in that game. But
yeah. Revolution. Yeah. Give it a try.
Okay.
All right, I was saying these 10 had a bunch of old games on it. Well, this is my first pretty new game.
Oh, nice.
I mean, not new by Chris's definition, because Chris's definition
Anything
of new
after 1995.
Exactly.
Okay.
No. Actually, joke. Okay, anyways. This one is Comic Hunters. Came out a couple of years ago, just last year in America. But I had my friend Ryan Evans. He actually pulled some strings and got one from me from Brazil. So I have the original copies. Huzzah! That makes me more special because I have the original one. But just kidding. This game is great. It is a drafting game. And it is a game that you get to draft do all the different drafts. Like first draft you do is you pick one and you pass it, and the second draft you do is called like the eBay draft, and there's like lots of cards out there. Like there's 3 cards and 5 cards and then 4 cards, and you got to bid on which ones you want to do.
Yes.
And then there's a draft where you either take an entire row of 4 cards or less, or you draw a card and add it to one that has less than 4 cards. So and then the best draft at all is the grid draft. So you have cards.
I think that's the convention.
Yeah, the convention. You have a hole in the middle of a 5x5 graft. No, 5x5 Grid. There you go. And you move a card, and then you take all the cards of the same type in a row or column, and that one's so fun. And I haven't talked about what the theme of this is. I mean, it's called Comic Hunter, so you should kind of know. But what's really cool about this is there are actual Marvel comics on the front of all these cards. They are the actual comics, and you guys know that I love me some Marvel comics. It is my first love. And to see those cards out on the table going, oh, I have that one. Oh, I remember that book. That's when this happened to Captain America. Like, I love that part of the game, and it just brings the collection of it to life to me. Yeah. Also, the other fun part that doesn't get talked about is it has one of these... at the end of a round, you have to decide which cards you're going to keep. So you have 1 card, 2 cards, and 3 cards. Well, if you have 3 cards, it generates 3 money, but it also takes 3 money to play. So you're trying to decide out of all the ones you took, which ones are you going to keep by discarding the ones you don't want. And that's a really cool decision. Marvel Champions kind of does that too, which is like a game that I enjoy a lot.
There's a few games do that.
Yeah, it's just a really cool mechanic. This one does it, and it's just a wonderful Marvel themed comic game. And if you don't like Marvel or comics, it's still worth playing because the draft in it alone is a lot of fun.
One thing, we need to play my copy because number 1, it's in English.
Yeah.
Number 2, I got all the upgrades on it. So, and I sleeve the cards. I've got all the upgraded little pieces. I got a little Stan Lee bust to use as the first player marker.
I upgraded my copy too. Did you not see my video of upgrading
I did see your video. Mine's actually an upgraded copy. But yeah, the art on the cards is what does it for me. If it was any other theme, I wouldn't like it. But it's
still good.
It's still fun, but I wouldn't play it if it wasn't the Marvel theme.
If you like drafting games,
I do.
Are you telling me this doesn't have enough good drafting in it that you don't think you would find it enjoyable?
If you were drafting something else other than Marvel comics,
stamps.
No, I wouldn't care.
You like theme way too much.
I know,
because drafting is one of your favorite mechanics. This is like the king of drafting games.
Yeah,
get out of here.
All right, what are we up to here? Is it number 42?
Yes.
42 is a newer game for me. Surprising. And it's a game that was one of my most played games, had to have been last year. And that's 7 Wonders Architects. Not 7 Wonders. 7 Wonders Architects. Because once again, this is a game I'm sorry. This is a game that is so much fun. And you play up to 7 people just like regular 7 Wonders. If you haven't played 7 Wonders Architects, it's in the 7 Wonders universe.
Yeah.
It's adjacent.
Which is like...
And so... But it's simpled down. Some people actually think 7 Wonders is too complicated, which...
I've experienced that, actually. Yeah.
And so I think it's the whole buying things from the people next to you that gets it all in the weeds.
Yeah, because it's abstracting that purchasing. You're like, well, what am I buying? Well, that thing. Well, how do I get it?
Yeah.
You just
figure
it. Yeah. It's hard to teach.
That doesn't happen in this one. And every resource is the same. There's resources.
Yeah.
That's it. They have to be ones that match or don't match. That's it. It doesn't matter what really they are, whereas it does in 7 Wonders.
Very much so.
And so you're just trying to build up your wonder. Fun thing about the game is if you can build a section of your wonder, you must do so, because that's a timing mechanism of the game. Because you might not want to. You might be like, but if I do this, I can get more points, and then and then finish it my next round. No, if you can do it, you have to do it. And so, and I would say 80% of the time, the person that finishes their wonder wins the game, but not always, because you do get a lot of points for that, but you can get a lot of points other ways too. So. By collecting point cards or collecting sets of science cards to get other points, or by doing the military. There's a bunch of different ways you can try to get points in the game. So, but it ends quick, and if I highly recommend upgrading the cat that comes in the game, as I did with mine. I have 2 different ones now. Someone gave me a nice solid gold looking cat.
Ooh, okay.
Because it all looks great in the game, and then you get this cheesy little standee that Daniel would like.
I love standees.
And I was like, this first time I played it, I'm like, that's got to go.
I bet you the standee
I'm getting a real
matches
cat.
The rest of the game. The real cat looks like you're playing with a toy that your kid gave you.
It actually looks just like the standee cat, the one that I bought.
Sure.
But it's a real looking cat.
Okay, so we'll see.
But anyway, 7 Wonders Architects. There you go. All right, we're down to number 41. Did you know that?
We're almost done.
This is almost the last one for this episode. All right, number 41 for me is an olderish game, Trade on the Tigris. Are you familiar with this game, Daniel?
I am. I owned it, and while you were taking 20 minutes to look at your list, I was trying to find it, and I must have traded it away.
That's a shame.
Oh no, there it is.
There it is. Trade on the Tigris. That's a really fun game.
TMG.
And it's once again, I think it's because of the theme that really gets me, because you're different societies and you're trying to succeed, but you don't want to lose your cultural identity. Okay. You're trying to let your religion and your culture dominate while also trading with everyone. You don't want to get too corrupt when you trade with people, because you trade with some other nation, they're going to be like, yeah, have this and that, have a little bit of this with it, and you're like, no, we don't want that. But well, okay, we'll take it. And so you got to find a balance there. It's kind of cool. So Trade on the Tigris, it's a blast to play. It's one of the ones that I don't own that I've played and that I've enjoyed. It's really fun.
It's like, you want a trading relation with us? Then download TikTok.
That's right. Real life implications.
Yeah, there you go.
There.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I only played it once in the year where I was trying to play all of my games.
Oh, gotcha.
And I haven't played it since, but I played it with Randy, and we both walked away going, wow, this is a really solid game.
Oh, it is.
They really should have went with the name Trading in the Mediterranean. That's what it literally was supposed to be. Because there was a bargain with Tom Vassell. Yes. Tom Vassell said that would never sell. And they said, we will make a game called Trading in the Mediterranean, and it will be good. And Tom Vassell gave it a good review.
Yeah.
But they changed the name because the MG was like, no one will buy a Trading in the
Mediterranean
game.
Right. They were probably right.
It would have been so much better if it was Trading in the Mediterranean. Okay. And then it would have made my list of the best Trade in the Mediterranean game.
Oh,
and not Oasis.
There you go. No, it should have anyway. All right. What do you got?
All right. My 41 is a game that John had on his list already.
What?
Well, sorry. Is an adjacent game.
Oh, okay.
And that is the Prodigals Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the follow-up to Last Will.
Is that what it is?
It is 100% the follow-up to Last Will, to the point where Prodigal Club, like in Last Will, you're trying to get rid of your house and off-sell it. Well, in Prodigals Club, you're trying to ruin your reputation, and you're also trying to... I just now forgot what the other two things are. You're trying to trash 3 different things, okay? And it's modular in the sense that you can remove one of those and you can implement Last Will, so that you're essentially playing a portion of Last Will in the Prodigals Club. But the fact that it goes from 3 different things that you're trying to manipulate makes it a little bit more dynamic than Last Will. Gotcha. Kind of replaces it for that same purpose. But it is so much fun. This is a game that we play often with the Evans, and they try to get it out as often as possible. It breeds to a lot of laughter too, because you're just like, my reputation just went down 5 because I brought this woman on a horse to the political rally, and everyone's like, why'd you bring a woman on a horse? Like, because why not? So just weird things like that. You just get weird, bizarre stories, and you kind of laugh. And but it also has a lot of tension. It's really good worker placement. You're really good Euro game, and it's a really good theme. So my 41, Prodigals Club. So that's it.
That's it for this
our 50 through 41. We have...
Man, where are we going to go from here?
To 40.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
We have 40 other incredible games. These games are garbage
compared to those, yes.
Especially John's.
Yeah. I'll even agree. Because some of these just had to be on the list.
That's right. These were games that he played.
Just mandatory had to be on the list.
5 games John has played. All right. But number 40 through 1 are going to blow your mind.
Definitely.
Make sure you watch those. And I promise we won't take a 1-year hiatus between the next episode.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of which, we should take a hiatus right now and end this. So
see you on the next one.
See you on the next one. See you around the board.